The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our most awesome Friday morning Amesbury Course in Miracles study group / fun zone. Just a few announcements. Lisa and Bill are, I think they got back from Guatemala late last night, so we will see them back here anytime. Hey, Lisa and Bill. Vicky Poppy is having Easter at her house the day before Easter, so on Saturday. It starts at noon. She's going to do the ham and turkey. It's a potluck. If everybody could just bring a side dish or a dessert, it's such a great time. Also, the free 40-day program through the Teachers of God Foundation. The next one is May 1st. Registration is open now, so if you've got friends that you want to share that with, just let them know they can go to the Teachers of God Foundation or teachersofgod.org website, and they can register right now for May. And then they'll be, we'll get in touch with them right before kickoff. Las Vegas, I know there are a few more tickets to go to the Las Vegas conference with us. I'm going, Lisa and Bill's going. Anybody else here going? Oh yeah, a whole bunch of people here are going. Yay! It's just so much fun to be in a hotel and be in an area with 500 off the charts happy course students that we just like a one big family, and it's great teachers and workshops, and not to mention we're in the middle of Las Vegas. So if you're thinking about doing it, do it. I know the price went up, but Lisa and Bill, I believe, still have a couple of tickets, maybe one or two, with the original older price. So just get in touch with me at linda@teachersofgod.org, and I will send you in the right direction. One other thing here for the streamers, if anybody has a comment, even if it's just a quick question, if you could, I know you don't raise your hand, and we can bring you the mic, or even better, come up here, just because the streamers can't see you or hear you. At the very least, if somebody does say something out there, if you could repeat it before you answer them, or but please try to come up or just to raise your hand first, because it's frustrating when you're watching and you really want to hear everything and you can't. So did I forget anything? 40 day is free. Yes, thank you for that reminder. What? Vicky Poppy is in Quincy, Mass. I'll post that on our email. So today I'm just really excited for our most gorgeous, awesome speaker, Irene Tomkinson, and her most gorgeous, awesome husband / guitar player, minister extraordinaire. So I don't think I've heard you teach for a while, and every time you just ask a question, I am totally moved and touched by it. So I'm really excited, and thank you so much, guys. Here's Irene and David.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. Okay, I just have to say that if I was Vicky Poppy and I was having my potluck being announced here to an international audience, that would scare me. Like how many people already show up at Vicky's house. No, just kidding. It's really always a wonderful celebration. So David and I want to start this with a prayer, but we want to do the prayer in song. Okay? One you all know. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty presence and its grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty presence and its grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on your face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. So take a deep breath. It's all about remembering who we are. If we are here, love is here. For there is nothing but love. Love is all that is real. And that's the bottom line of this whole course and the book and the teachings. Over and over again, we need to be reminded because we forget. We are love. We are light. That is all there is. Everything else is illusion because it is temporary. These bodies are temporary. Our problems are temporary. Our fear is absolutely temporary. All that lasts, all that is, all that remains for eternity is love. Take a deep breath. Feel the love and the light that you are. Breathe into the light that emanates from your absolute being. Think about when a puppy comes into the room and sees your face. That puppy absolutely identifies the love that you are. You've got that wagging tail attraction. Think about every newborn baby that you've ever looked at. What happens to your heart? It opens wide. Because that baby totally emanates the love, reflects the love that you absolutely are. When we see a sunset, a sunrise, a raindrop, a snowflake, and our heart expands at wonder and awe, we get reminded with that vibration for the vibration that we are. Love and light. That's it. Take a deep breath. Thank you so much for showing up, for the willingness to remember the light that you are and to emanate that light for the planet. Streamers, thank you for showing up. And so it is. Amen. Okay, so I've been a student of the course consciously for about 3 years. To be here doing a talk on the course is scary, especially when I think about Lisa, who's been doing this for 20 years. Then I have to remind myself that for the last 25 years, I've been influenced by the course with every writer and teacher that I've ever fallen in love with, like Wayne Dyer and Marianne Williamson and Gerald Jampowski, who was kind enough to endorse my book. He was the first for me. His book, Love is Letting Go of Fear, just flipped my world upside down. I had never, ever looked at at spirituality or God in the way that Gerald introduced it to me. He had it in really simple language. So I tried to read the course. I would go look at the book and think, oh, this is for somebody so much smarter than me. It just never, ever could get into my brain. And then I would fall in love with somebody else like Wayne Dyer, you know, and everything that he wrote. And I knew that he was building all his teachings on the course. And I'd try it again, and it still wouldn't work for me. Until 3 years ago when I met Lisa and Bill, and Lisa was the one that made it user-friendly for me. She's the one that like opened my eyes, and ever since she's lifted the veil for me and opened my eyes, I can't look at the book without learning something, hearing something, getting something, absorbing something. So it's from this place that I do this talk for this morning. It's not from a place of 20 years of experience. It's from a place of unfolding. That's where I've been. I've been in an incredible unfolding, and that unfolding really did start 25 years ago. It started even further back than that. I want to talk about the main teachers in my life, okay? The first one was the Catholic Church. This is where I grew as a child. And my family was a family that was filled with love, and you would definitely call it dysfunctional. Dysfunctional because the adults in the family didn't have the skills necessary to make it safe for the kids in the family. They couldn't make it safe for themselves, much less make it safe for the kids. So what the church gave me was a place of constancy, a place of stability. So at the church, I got to know like the rules for life. And that felt good because it felt like the adults in my family didn't know the rules. So I followed them because like every child that's born on the planet, I wanted to be a good girl. I didn't already know that I was already born a good girl. I thought I had to earn being a good girl. You know, any child that you see brand new on the planet who hasn't yet been told differently arrives with a great big ta-da. I'm here. If we had a child like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old who walked in here and hadn't yet been told anything different, they would think you all gathered for them. Because they are the center of the earth, right? They're the center of this universe because they come knowing the light that they are. Very quickly, we learn or we start writing stories that that's not true. That the light that we knew we were when we got here is somehow different. I wanted to show you guys something that's on YouTube, and I would really recommend that you look it up. It takes about 2 minutes to watch it. It's called, what is it called? The still expression? The still face. It's called the still face experiment. It's on YouTube. And what it shows is, I'm going to try to describe it, okay, because I don't have the equipment here to show it to you, or I'd put it up on the wall for you. There's like a 1-year-old in a high chair, and the mom's there, and the mom's talking to the 1-year-old. I love you, you're the very best. And the 1-year-old's like, and smiling and pointing his finger, and she looks around to see what he's pointing at, and he's like all animated. And they start the communication. He feels the connection. And he's delighted with himself, so he knows she wants to be connected with him. Then the experiment goes this way. This must have broke the mother's heart, right? She has to turn around, and she turns back to the baby, and she doesn't move her face. And the baby just looks at her. Huh? 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 And you can watch the baby get like really upset. Huh? 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 And he's pointing, and she just stares at him. And he starts to cry. Like, where are you? Like, where did you go? And she just stares at him. Right? She turns around. She comes back and she goes, ah! And he starts, and he's all excited, but he was so agitated and so upset for that minute. It was a long minute for him and for this mom. It's a long minute to watch it. He started the stories. That's how we start those stories. There's something wrong with me. I'm not okay. That's what we do. We do it like right from the get-go. You know, like you can't, if you're right-handed, you can't tell me the day you began using that right hand. You just always used it, right? You can't say, oh, here's the day. Oh, yeah, that was the day I decided to be right-handed. It just became a part of who you were, who you are, who you believe you are. If we get those messages that we can't connect, if we get those messages that you're not going to be there for me, if those messages start in any way, shape, or form, we start building the story, I'm not okay. And they come in layers and layers and layers and layers. And as the Course says, that keeps us from knowing the light that we are. But this experiment was so powerful because it showed how early it starts with just the mom turning away and being back and not being present. And that's what's going to happen on planet Earth, right? I mean, mom can't stay present constantly. Things happen in mom's life and dad's life and everybody's life, right? But we start this story, I'm not okay. I must have done something wrong. I need to yell louder. I need to bang on you. I need to entertain you. I need to do something more to get better. We completely forget. When I saw this this research, when I saw it, I was like, I have a degree in early childhood education, so I totally get it, you know. But it was like so profound for me how early it started and how quickly it started and how it became so like ingrained. And that's what happened for me with this church that I loved. It told me God was outside, God was watching, and I needed to get better. That I needed to change. I needed to fix me. I needed to pay attention to the rules. I needed to ignore what was going on in my belly. I needed to listen. I needed to not question. Now, I'm not here to say the Catholic Church doesn't work for lots of people. But what I had to learn was that the Catholic Church and God were not the same thing. It was a path that some people chose, and it works for some people. But for me, I had them confused, and I also got it really confused that I was wrong, that I needed to keep getting better, keep doing it righter, be more gooder, okay? Then there was a split for me for lots of reasons when I was like 21, and I got really angry because I thought the church and God were the same thing. So if I wasn't doing business with the church, I certainly wasn't doing business with God. I was blessed by coming to up against the wall with my use of alcohol, and I found a 12-step program. And one of the blessings for this 12-step program was I experienced a month, which was huge for me. I experienced a month of no drinking by using what I was being taught here. And I knew I had wanted to, is this making sense? I had wanted to for years to stop drinking the way I was drinking, because drinking was choosing me sometimes when I wasn't. And I was really, really uncomfortable with my relationship with alcohol. And I would try and try and try, but I could never get those weekends. I could get up to the weekend, but I couldn't get through those weekends. So when I joined this 12-step program, and I found, I experienced a whole month, which meant 4 weekends, not drinking. I knew that something greater than me was making a difference. That's when I can honestly say I had the first conscious experience of a God energy, a divine energy, a something energy. Something was happening, and it was an experience, and it was totally an internal experience for me. Also in this program, what worked for me was that they said you needed to rely on a power greater than yourself. It might be the power of the group, the fellowship, but you needed to know that it wasn't only you. You were a part of it, but it wasn't only you. And they weren't going to define it for me. I needed to define it for myself. That was the first time in my life that somebody was talking to me about defining the God of my own understanding. That was a huge concept. And that's when I started to realize there's a big difference between religion, God, and spirituality. That spirituality was the experience of whatever this divine energy is. And religion, for some, was a path. So I started to internalize it, always loving that message that they didn't have the one right way. As soon as that was like the first time that I was with people who were having a spiritual discussion, and it wasn't the one right way for everybody. And then from this, through a women's AA weekend, 12-step weekend, I was introduced to something called unity. And what I loved about unity was they were saying the same thing. They were saying that we don't have the answer for everybody, that all paths are recognized, but we have these 5 beliefs that can help you on your journey. One was that that God was internal. That was an inside experience. And for me, that was just, I had a place that I could go, a place that there were like-minded people, and a place that didn't say that everybody needed to be there. And it also was a place and a philosophy that recognized the goodness in all of us. It wasn't about us getting better. It was about us getting more conscious and remembering who we were. And from here, it was a natural step for me to find a course. So it was a gradual, over the years, kind of a movement. But if I had to put it in one sentence, it was the movement of this outside force that I needed to impress to this inside knowing that my tada has always been here. I've never lost my tada. It's here. It's here right now. Always been here, never went anywhere else. And it's all these stories that have been layered. The reason I like focused on the stories is because I've been a therapist for 30 years. So one of the things that was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around when I first started getting serious with this, with Lisa, with Lisa's teachings, was that the stories aren't real. The stories are illusion. I get that, okay? And we can snap right out of them. If we stand in love, if we stand in the presence, we can stand right out of it. And I love how she teaches that, your past is this way, your future is this way. Both of those are horizontal vibration. And the now is this. And the now is where you experience your tada, which is exactly what children do, right? Think about a baby learning how to walk, right? There's some motivation where it gets up and it falls down, and it gets up and it falls down, and it pulls on things and it gets up and it falls down. It doesn't stop and say, I don't really know how to do this. I should wait till I learn how. What are people going to think if I keep falling down? I can't let anybody see me fall down. I am such a screw up. Look, everybody in this room is walking but me. It's not happening because the kid really doesn't give a rat's what you're thinking, right? Because the kid's full of the tada. The tada says, I'm going to try to do this. Look at me. Oh, look at me. Oh, come on, look at me. Don't stop looking at me. They know their tada, right? We get all these messages like, I can't let anybody see me do that. Oh, my God. I'm not going to look attractive. I'm not going to look smart. I'm not going to be okay. I can't let them know I need something or I need help, right? We do that over and over and over because somehow we're proving something to somebody somewhere. We got to cover up this fact that we're not okay for a zillion reasons, right? And I get that when you're highly evolved, you get to this place where you're not listening to the stories anymore. You know, one of the things that I know about neuroscience is that our first thought, I'm talking about in the illusion, in the fear, in this world that we've created, our first thoughts cannot be changed. But our second thought and the ones that follow can be changed. Because the first thought is like such a default. It's like, think about using your left hand if you've been right-handed. Your response is you want to use your right hand. But if you're learning to use your left, your response is this, you have to stop it, but then you work consciously to use the left hand. Thinking's like that too. If from day 1 you've been told you're not okay, or from day 10, or from day 5 years old, or 6 years old, or whenever you started to get the idea that you're not okay and you forgot your ta-da, right, and that you're separate, those thoughts become grooved in your brain. So that first thought that says, I can't do that, I'm not smart enough to do that, or I'm not young enough to do that, or I'm not capable of doing that, that one can be noticed, take a deep breath, and you can move to the next thought, which is what the whole course is all about. It's changing our thinking, to remind us to go back to the ta-da that we are. Does this make sense? Okay. So one of the things that, so it's like, where's the place for a therapy? Or where's the place for looking at these stories? Because we have to negotiate or navigate in this world of illusion. So what I've really gotten a lot of solace from and comfort from is in the book, it's in the supplements, the psychotherapy supplement, Purpose, Process, and Practice. I mean, I do like that the one thing I have in common with Helen is we're both psychotherapists. Though I have not had a book dictated to me. Well, you know what? That's not true. That's not true because in my first book, one of the things I learned about writing is that a lot of it does come divinely inspired when you get out of the way. So it wasn't quite a 900-pager, but psychotherapy is the only form of therapy there is, since only the mind can be sick. Only the mind can be healed. Only the mind is in need of healing. This does not appear to be the case, for the manifestations of this world seem real indeed, so that an individual can begin to question their reality. Sometimes he is able to start to open his mind without formal help. But even then, it is always some change in his perception of interpersonal relationships that enables him to do so. Sometimes he needs a more structured, extended relationship with an official therapist. Either way, the task is the same. The patient must be helped to change his mind about the reality of illusions. Now, this is not an infomercial for therapy, okay? I totally don't believe that everybody needs therapy, but I do believe that we need some feedback about the reality that we've created. Anything that says that we're not okay. Anything that says that we're less than light, that we're less than love. Anything that says that we are not a child of God. We do need that. And that's what the great, the lessons are so good in this, in the book, that help us to really reframe that. We can hear over and over again, let go and let God, but it's really important to know what you're holding on to. If you don't know what you're holding on to, you don't know what you're letting go of. In a violent family, okay? And I was the kid, I was the oldest, and I was the protector of this is the story I wrote, I was the protector of my mom and my sisters, all right? So the story that I grew up with was that I was a really tough broad. And I thought that if you dealt with fear or you dealt with emotions, that you had an attitude problem. All right, and then, of course, I picked up alcohol to help me keep that story going, right? And when I put the alcohol down, I found out that I was completely filled with fear. I was terrified. To find that out was like to find out that I was a black woman. I mean, it was just like it was a shock. It was a shock to know that I was completely filled with fear. I was angry a lot. I was pissed a lot. I did not know that anger is always, always on top of fear or sadness and hurt. Can you help me with this? I don't care. Anger is always, always on top of fear or sadness and hurt. And what happens is, if we don't allow ourselves to finish the feeling, we get stuck. Generally speaking, this is a big generalization, right? Men have been taught that it's okay to do anger, but it's not okay to do fear or sadness and hurt. An angry man is... Yeah. An angry woman is a bitch, right? Because women have not been given permission to do anger. A fearful woman is, she needs protection. Sad and hurt, right? Okay. A sad and hurt woman is, a sad and hurt woman is a victim. Yeah. Demure, soft, right? A sad and hurt, fearful man is a, wimp, okay? We have a word right away for a man who's fearful, and we don't really, she said wimp. And we don't have a word for women that way. We have a word for women right away with anger, bitch, but we don't have a word for men that way. So we've been stuck in these roles. We've been stuck in these places. The bottom line is that I was hanging out here. I was the tomboy, so I had the boy kind of like personality. I was hanging out here because I would never do this. So this reality that I was living in was, you cross me and I'm like this right away. In relationships, like David would have to say, I'm on your side. David's my husband, so he'd say like, I'm on your side, but I'd be like this all the time. And I really thought that this was like crap. Well, I didn't have that because I couldn't have that as a kid, but we build up these crazy realities about who we believe we are. There's no ta-da in this. There's survival in this. There's hanging on to the story in this. There's holding on tight to the way we've identified ourselves in this. But once I moved from this and experienced this, the fear and the sadness and hurt, I was able to like finish with it. And on the other side of that, realize I don't need these stories anymore. But if I hang out without any kind of introspection or hang out without any kind of feedback, I'd still be hanging out up here. And one of the ways I got to hang here was give myself lots of alcohol. Because alcohol numbed this. Does this make sense? And you all have stories. You have stories. This is just one of my stories, okay? We all have stories about who we are, who we're not. And we only have one story that's true. We are children of God. We are born of the light. We are only light. We are only ta-da. So the reason I want to help people understand their stories, I want them to understand what the benefits are. The benefits for me was I didn't have to go into the vulnerability. Vulnerability in my house as a kid was dangerous. This is like somebody being on the front in a war zone. You can't go into the vulnerability there. Not in this illusion, not in this reality we've created. It's about surviving, right? So this gave me the illusion of some kind of strength or some kind of power. The reality is the only power, the only strength is to know that I'm a child of God. When we know that and we're listening to our guts, when we're listening to the guidance, the voice that's been given us and shared with us, when we can get out of all the blah, 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 and we can feel it, and we can allow it, and we can hear the voice, we have all the strength and all the power that we need. One of the things that I love about this book is that it tells you you don't need it. I love that. I love that it doesn't say it's the one right way and you've all got to figure this out. It says you just need to remember who you are. And if this helps you, great. If it doesn't, if the Catholic Church helps you, if whatever, if walking in the woods helps you to remember that, whatever it is helps you to remember who you are and get out of the old stories, that's all you need. That's salvation. Salvation is to remember who you are and to know it, and then we live from that place, right? Then we live from that place. Anyone have any thoughts or questions of anything I've said? Laura. Here. So all the people who are coming from around the world to Vicky Poppy's house can hear you.
Hi. Everything you said, I agree. Same thing. I was angry. Didn't want that to be who I was. I wasn't a tomboy. I was very girly, but the walls came up real fast. And, of course, the story started when I was a young girl. My father dies in front of me. Now I don't have a male role model, so I become a male. And I become really tough. And I did carry that through. I'm in the same 12-step program she is. And I drank and drug, too, to calm it down, the stories. And same thing, when they taught me, you need to show this to people and tell people how you're really feeling. I was already in a marriage where that person had seen so much of my anger. When I decided to do this, it made him angry because he couldn't understand why I was never this. So that caused a lot of damage. So that was done. I couldn't fix that. But the Course in Miracles has taught me, and I love how at the end of this it says, now close the book. I don't have to keep going back in and doing this over and over and over, because for me, if I have to keep, I come here because I love connecting with everyone and hearing stuff because we teach each other, just like in the 12-step program, but I don't have to keep going over this and over this because I think I pretty much understand now that I'm the light of God, and I never thought I was the light of God, and I love that ta-da thing. I love that ta-da thing because what you were saying while you were saying it about that little child, I'll be in a meeting, and there's girls that come in from halfway houses with babies, and the girls are real frustrated, and these are the lights of God. It's like holding a hunk of God, and they can feel nothing but energy. And I will take the baby from the girl because she's very frustrated because she doesn't even want to be in that situation. People call me the baby whisperer because I hold the baby on my lap, and I'm in a place of peace, and that baby calms right down, puts its head on me, and goes right to sleep because I'm bringing the light of God. I can feel it coming through me. That baby's energy, that's all it can feel. As soon as I hand the baby back to the mother at the end of the meeting, the baby starts getting agitated again because the mother is. So it's just perfect.
And the baby can't feel the connection because the mom's shut off. Exactly. The mom's closed off to her light and who she is. Thanks, Laura. Thank you very much. It's not just a matter of like owning the story too. Like we need to own the stories, but we need to own how those stories served us. I needed to come up with compassion for myself for why I wasn't feeling fear, why I wouldn't allow myself to go there. We are not going to dissolve the stories by just saying, I'm not doing that. I'm not thinking that. I am so not thinking that. My first book, because I'm almost done with my second, was Not Like My Mother, okay? And it's about becoming a sane parent after growing up in a crazy family. And the whole paradigm, or what I'm looking at in the book is, I spent so much of my time saying, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, that I was constantly giving the kids the opposite, all right? And what that meant was I was stuck there. I was totally stuck in that what I wasn't going to do. There was no, like, what do they need? It was like, I'm going to give them what I needed. It was completely self-referential, and it was all about the old stories and my old story. There was nothing about being in the now and looking at the kids and saying, what do you need right now? I'm going to give you what I didn't get. I'm going to give you what I didn't get. I'm going to give you what I didn't get. Stuck. It's just stuck in that whole that whole horizontal line that Lisa talks about. In order to get out of that, though, I had to go back and look at that kid that was me that grew up in that family. I had to come to her with compassion. I couldn't just say, I'm not going there, I'm not going to be that, I'm not going to do that, because we stay stuck in the knots. That's where all our energy go. It had to be like, I had to cry for her, I had to feel for her, and I had to let it go. It was done. But it can only be done if I would allow myself to do all the feelings, including the vulnerability about that. Does that make sense? And that's when your heart softens. That's when the story dissipates. So one of the ways that I encourage people to help them to get into those stories is to ask yourself, what are you feeling? Not why are you feeling? Why will keep you in your head and keep you in the story? What will have you go down and look into your body? And when you look into your body, because this is a map of where your brain's been. Deepak Chopra says it, and I think he's right on, in this illusion that we live in. If you look at the body, it's a printout of where the brain has been. If you look at the brain, you're going to see where the body's going. So when we get in here, we can see where we've locked in those stories, and we just start to own them and breathe into them and be with them, then we can allow them to dissipate with love. It always is about love. It's always about love. Because if you're hanging any place else, you're hanging in fear and you're locking it in. Your grit. And you can know that, if you're feeling something you don't want to experience, you're holding your breath. Because you're locking it, right in place. The breath will, connect you and dissolve it. And move it so that you can be in the love that you're meant to be in and experience. I want you all to try something with me right now. I want you to put your feet flat. Take a deep breath. And if you feel safe to do it, close your eyes. You can always open them. You're in charge. And I want you to say softly to yourself, I am innocent, and breathe it in. And breathe it in. I want you to notice where your breath stops on the way down. Just notice, don't judge it. I am innocent. Breathe in. I am innocent. Breathe in. Anything coming up for anybody that they want to share? Is there any argument going on inside about that? You try it at home too. I am innocent, and breathe those words into your body. Notice where your breath stops. And just notice if there's any stories that come up that say, oh no, you're not. Allow yourself to take in the I am innocent, because you are. Light does not do anything wrong. Love makes no mistakes. I am innocent. Breathe it in. I think that's pretty much all of us ever need to do on a regular basis throughout the day, and we'll clean up whatever stories come up, When those stories come up that tell us anything less than, I am innocent. Just notice them. Give them love. Let them go. Guilt says we've broken a rule. And we need to ask ourselves, what's the rule that I think I've broken? And who made up that rule? And do I still agree with it? Anybody want to share about that? Or you're all accept that you're innocent? That's it? We're done here? Oh, good. Lisa, it's all over. We're done here now. Anybody have any comments or any sharing they'd like to do? Love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that is the process, though, because even though we don't think we're innocent or
we have all the other thoughts about us. The process is recognizing that that's not the truth. So as long as you keep on recognizing it and saying that, because it says in the Course that you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe the thought that it wants you to understand about who you really are. And even I think at someplace, of course, there is someplace in this book that says you don't have to believe what the Course says. Just be a little open to it. And that's the same as finding our innocence. Because if you don't join Jesus in what he's trying to show us, teach us, then you give up the process, you'll never know. So I think that's the process of, even though it feels uncomfortable, you don't like it, you don't want to do the work. I mean, I just use that as a way now of forgiving myself for not wanting to experience what Jesus is trying to teach me to experience.
Why do you think you don't want to do the work? What do you think stops you from wanting to do the work? Take a deep breath.
Because I think, there's a part, I mean, this is my struggle. There's a part of me that likes being on my own. And I see that. And that's the part that I forgive, because I know that's not what I want. So that's what I work on.
So you don't want to rely on asking Jesus to help you. You want to do it yourself.
I do. I ask Jesus for help all the time, but I see that all my asking is really asking, when I really look underneath what I'm asking for, there's always something that I want to change out here, or to fix someone in my family, or, when I'm in pain over somebody, I don't see that it's my pain. I see that if I can only help them, which I still do, I'm still trapped in that. I see it, and that's what I forgive myself for, because I guess I don't have that trust. And that's what I'm working on, building the trust that it's not about making someone else's life better or something out here work better. It's about fixing me, not trusting Jesus.
How old do you feel in that feeling of like wanting to fix them? How old do you feel in that feeling? How far back does it go for you?
I mean, my life was just like yours. I went from the Catholic Church to the 12th step, to unity, to A Course in Miracles. And I've been studying this course for 30 years. But I always say that I've been studying it wrong. I've been studying it with the ego, which is wonderful to see. And I've been forgiving to get, and not recognizing, because I still ask Jesus every day, help me to see, what is forgiveness? What is it? Because I didn't recognize, just like you had said, which made sense to me, about you've been studying this course for 25 years and you've been working it for 3. Hello. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. And now when I say, when am I going to get it? Maybe today. Maybe trust.
Tell me about this young girl who loved her family so much she wanted to see them better. Could she see the girl that was you? Yep. Could she see them making mistakes and making poor choices?
I spent most of my time, even in school. I never studied in school. I spent most of my time trying to figure out why everybody else had nice clothes on, or nice shoes on, or their mother looked really beautiful driving up in the Cadillac, or had nice homes. I could never figure out why I didn't have any clothes or shoes, or, it was always a struggle. So always comparing. when I was in my classroom, I wasn't there to learn. I was just looking at who had what on and why they were different from me. So and I didn't know how to get what they had. And I spent my whole life, even now I find myself, if I'm comparing me with you, I know I'm in my ego mind and thinking that something's wrong with me. Or
So you, the grown woman, can you see that young girl in the classroom?
Oh, yes.
Okay. What do you, if we could magically bring her in here and stand here in front of you, what do you want to tell her about what's inside of her?
Well, I see that now because I know that, that's when that little girl was confused and in pain and suffering. And, just.
So what do you want to tell her? What would you tell her if you could magically bring her in here and just look at her?
Tell her she doesn't have to do that anymore.
Breathe in. And can you feel the love that's in her heart for the people she cares about?
Okay, yes.
Because that's why she wants to fix people.
Okay.
Is because she loves them, right?
Right.
Right. So can you give her some compassion for that? Can you feel that in your heart? Some compassion for her?
Well, I guess so. I mean,
Can you breathe it into your heart?
is that what I'm supposed to be recognizing? Is that
She was always the light. No matter what she had on, no matter what the clothes were, no matter what it looked like, she was always the light. She still is the light. She's the light that wants people fixed because she loves them. The ego says, I'm the one that will fix it. But what you, the woman who's the student, knows is Jesus will fix it. Love will fix it.
Yeah.
She just needs your love. Does that make sense to your body?
Yeah. I just didn't realize. I guess I didn't realize the compassion for. I guess I still want to be strong.
She is strong.
Well, I know, but
She's never been weak. She was just trying to make sense out of what was around her.
yes.
Breathe in. And have her know that she's never been anything but ta-da. You know she was.
See, but there's still I want to say there's still a part of me that.
Use an and instead of a but. But says if I had this reality, I can't have this reality. And says you can have both realities. Go ahead. Do the and. I want to say, and I want to say. Do you see the light in her?
Well, I think I see that striving always to want to be helpful. All my life, it never worked, though. It never worked. And still now, I recognize when I want to be helpful to somebody, it doesn't work.
Can you just love that part of you that wants to love?
Well, I
Wanting
didn't.
to be helpful is not a bad thing. Can you just love her for wanting to help?
I guess so. I never looked at it that way. Boy, that's a statement people say all the time. Yeah.
And I've really put you.
No, it's okay because I've always loved therapy.
Well, and the reason that I'm putting you on, the reason that I'm using you for an example here, okay, is because that's what it takes to move us out of the stuck stories. Yep. Is to fall in love with the ta-da that we've always been.
I feel like I've been trying to still change that.
Yeah, but she's perfect. She came perfect. She's always perfect, and she's still perfect. Breathe in.
Ta-da. Thank you. Thanks. I like your story. Very nice teaching.
Oh, thanks, Rudy. Thanks for your courage. Okay, David and I have a song, or it's time for us to end. I hope that was helpful, and I really hope that you all can look at I mean, she had an incredible courage to come up here and let me do that with her. But can you get what I'm saying about we have to learn to love that little munchkin? We're judging that munchkin. We're these old stories of the shame we carry, the judgment we carry. We need to gather in every memory we have. Can you see how that little girl was just trying to make sense out of what was ever going on? I know it's illusion, but it's the illusion we're all swimming around most of the time, right? Because we're trying to remember the love that we are and we have always been. Of course that little girl's looking around going, how come they have? What I used to do as a kid is I used to think I wasn't being good enough for God, or things would change. What I know today in the absolute core of my heart is I was a really, really good kid. A really good kid. There are no not really good kids, but I'm recognizing I was a really good kid who was just trying to keep people safe. I didn't know they weren't. I didn't know that wasn't my job. And they've all worked it out. But I've had to gather in those little girls, teenager, all parts of me. And that's how it melts until, going back to the love that we are. We have to melt those stories till we get back to remembering who we are. Dee, can we do the song? Yeah. No, right now. We're going to close this with a song, and which is I think this song just says what it needs to say about vertical energy. As Lisa says, if we're in this energy, we're in the now. And please remember that there's a box in the back if you'd like to put your donations to help support the Teachers of God. And there's a donate button for the streamers. So feel free to help keep this ministry going. Thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. Thanks, Lisa and Bill. Oh, day by day, day by day, oh, dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day. Day by day, oh, dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, by day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh, dear Lord, these things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, by day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh, dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day. Thank you, guys. Thank you all very much. Thank you, streamers. We're good, Tish?
The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in the peace of God shining in me now. The peace of God shining in me now.